Unison Research says its sonic goal with the Unico Nuovo integrated amplifier is to give music vitality, a word I associate with vigor, liveliness, and power. Does it succeed? Let's find out. I'm Aaron Jenkins, and here on the Absolute Sounds YouTube channel, I review entry-level high-end products that might appeal to audio newcomers or enthusiasts like me who listen to music in real-world, often shared spaces. The Unico Nuovo is a 2-channel integrated amp that costs $2,999 in the US. It's rated at 95 watts per channel into 8 ohms and is a hybrid design with a tube input section with what the company calls a dynamic Class A output stage. In a typical Class A amp, the output stage is always on and always fully powered. This is good for minimizing distortion and producing clean sound, but it consumes a lot of energy and produces a lot of waste heat. For that reason, most amps are what's called Class AB, in which the output transistors, which are split between positive voltage and negative voltage, turn on and off. And due to this, they are more efficient in terms of energy consumption than Class A amps. But they're not as clean sounding because that powering on and off causes distortion. So in Unison's dynamic Class A, the output transistors are always on, as is usual in Class A, but they're not being fed full power, unlike what's usual in Class A. Instead, a small constant amount of current is being fed to the output stage to keep it from anything from turning off, and this eliminates the distortion of a typical Class AB design. In practice, while the tubes in the true Class A preamplifier section got very hot, I barely felt any heat coming off of the dynamic Class A amplifier section. The Nuovo also features a built-in phono preamplifier that works with both MM and MC cartridges, but to switch between them or adjust the gain, you'll need to open up the amp and move jumpers around. Also included are a tape loop and a subwoofer output. The sub's output level is tied to the amp's volume control, but there's no built-in low-pass crossover, so you'll need to set the frequency range externally.
So you're into like good sound and whatever? Awesome. So this is the new JBL setup. Speakers are JBL, receiver is JBL, so you know it all works together. So the receiver is really easy to use and you can connect it to basically anything. So these are the JBL Stage 2 speakers. They rock. Everything sounds great. It looks really nice. We didn't even have to pay for anyone to set it up. I did it myself, so that's pretty chill. We're gonna stare at our phones and put a movie on, if you're down.
Turning to the Unico sound, there are 3 areas I want to highlight, and the first is that this amp likes to play loud. I mean this in 2 ways. The first being that unless I cranked the amp up, I didn't get the full experience of the music, both in terms of the Nuovo's excellent dynamics, as well as its coherence and sense of presence. If you, like me, like to listen to music loud, this won't be a significant issue. But that said, I definitely raised the volume level more than usual, and this also made the amp less appropriate or satisfying for quiet listening or background music. The second sense of loudness is that the Unico sounds very powerful, much more so than the 130 watt per channel Class D NAD C389 amp, and delivers serious impact and presence along with excellent bass output and control. The opening of, say, Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit or David Bowie's Moon Age Daydream were so forceful that they made me lean back in my seat, in a good way. And the electronic bass in Mark Ronson's Uptown Funk is crisp, tight, and hard-hitting, and there's real heft and physicality in the rising and falling strings of Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. The Nuovo also loves a driving beat or riff and really propels the music forward. It grabbed control of the jangling guitar and crashing cymbals in So Lonely from The Police Live, and the snares and bass in Golden Earring's Radar Love. And it's not just rock music, because that sense of energy, of excitement, was just as present in the bass line and drums underlying the saxophone and trumpet and Johnny Hodges' main stem. For those people that like to dance to their music, this is a wonderful amp. Big and powerful sounding it may be, but the Unico Nuovo is also impressively smooth, articulate, and fast. In Fleetwood Mac's Secondhand News, the opening acoustic guitar riff is quick and precise with a realistic strike of the pick on the strings and an equally realistic decay. Same goes for the electric guitar that opens Goose's All I Need, and in that song, as the rest of the instruments come in, drums, piano, bass, each musical line is clearly delineated, each instrument distinct, clear, and precise. Cymbals, guitars, and piano notes all have the same sense of a tight initial impact and believably controlled decay. In Regina Spektor's Don't Leave Me, the opening keyboard notes are big and open and airy, and the electronic drum track intentionally small and tight. And then her singing and the bass guitar come in big, bold, and full, yet those keys and drums are still easily audible underneath, and each of these elements is clearly placed in a big, wide soundstage. Despite this delineation, there's a real smoothness, a liquidity and ease to the sound, and based on my experience with the all-tube Rogue Audio Krona Stark, this is likely due to that tube input stage. Although, probably given its tube-free output stage, the Unico isn't as liquid overall as the all-tube Rogue, but the trade-off, of course, is much better bass control and definition. Given Unison's desire for vitality, I expected the Unico's tone to be warm, but it's not. It's actually neutral, although without any sense of sterility or sparseness that might imply, and it offers a good sense of color and, again, a real sense of liveliness. The violins, viola, and cello of Quartetto Casal's The Art of the Fugue sound full and resonant, their harmonies intertwined and enveloping in space, while Placido Domingo's voice is rich and strong against the light and delicate yet still forceful strings in Rossini's Barber of Seville. And finally, and I've mentioned this before, the Unico delivers a real sense of presence, of physicality, of sonic density. The Sacred Souls in the Mirror starts with a guitar and a slightly ethereal keyboard, and the arrival of each new instrument builds the fullness, the depth of the music, and by this time the singing starts, it's evolved into a fully fleshed out and present performance. In this way, it again reminds me of the all-tube Rogue Audio amp, but as with the liquidity, to a lesser degree. As you can tell, I think that Unison Research has succeeded in its vision for creating an amp with vitality. The Unico Nuovo likes, or needs, to play loud. It's clear with strong, well-controlled bass. It packs energy and drive. It's articulate without being analytical. It paints an accurate sonic picture, and it offers more than a touch of tube-like smoothness. That said, this amplifier definitely won't appeal to those who want to listen to music at lower volumes, but if you want to hear the vigor and liveliness in your music, the Nuovo is definitely worth an audition.